very many things. I'll try to keep the time, and we have agreed with the leaders of the houses that after the 20th minute, they can ring the bell. Your Excellency, the last 3 years have been phenomenal because when you were sworn in, and iko kitabu, there is a booklet with the scorecard so that you can help, you can be able to follow as we go through. I will not be able to say everything, but I will be able to give the key highlights in the 20 minutes which I have. So, Your Excellency the President, when you were sworn into office on 13th September 2022, the economy of Kenya was in bad shape because of a number of factors, mainly the disruption of the supply chains because of the war in Ukraine and Russia, the COVID-19 pandemic that has shut down our economy for more than a year, and other shocks, including the drought that had ravaged our country. Because of these economic shocks, our economy was in bad shape. Kenya was one of the 6 countries in Africa that had been predicted to default in their sovereign debt, the others being Ethiopia, Chad, Ghana, Gambia, and Zambia. Out of the 6 countries, including Kenya, that had been predicted to default in their sovereign debt obligations, only Kenya survived. All the other 5 countries defaulted. Why? Because immediately you were sworn in office, you made very difficult, painful, and unpopular decisions that helped bring our economy back on track, including negotiating a G2G arrangement for the supply of crude oil, which was not available in 2022 September. People were queuing to buy petrol. And we saw the escalation of costs of petrol, which is a big contributor to inflation. It kept on increasing until it reached a high of 2018 shillings a litre. Over the last 3 years, Your Excellency, through your leadership and with the support of the broad-based administration, we've been able to bring down a number of macroeconomic indicators that were affecting our economic environment. Number 1, prices of essential commodities that had skyrocketed and therefore influencing the cost of living negatively have been stabilized over time, including unga from 250. Today, unga from 138 shillings going forward, you'll get your unga depending on the type of unga that you want to consume. But from 138 shillings, you'll get your unga. Your Excellency, fuel which had gone as high as 217, 218 shillings a litre has been going down continuously. Over time, losing over 40 shillings. Today we are at 178 a litre. Your Excellency, inflation, which was at 9.6% at that time, is now stable for more than a year. It has been somewhere between 3.5 and 4.5%, which is within the central bank preferred midpoint. The Central Bank of Kenya preferred midpoint for inflation is 5%, plus or minus 2.5%. We are below that CBK benchmark. Last month it was 4.3%. Again, congratulations, Your Excellency, because inflation, low inflation, and keeping inflation stable and low is one of the macroeconomic foundations on which our economy is going to be built going forward. Your Excellency, the exchange rate, the shilling was losing value every day. Over the last almost 1.5 years and more, we've been able to keep a stable exchange rate at 129 shillings, down from 162, 165 shillings in 2022. Your Excellency, congratulations. The Kenya shilling now has been rated as one of the most stable currencies in the world. The top 6 stable currencies in the world, the Kenya shilling is in that list. Your Excellency, over the last 3 years, again, due to difficult and popular but important decisions, we have now grown our cash reserve ratio. Our foreign exchange reserves have increased. In 2022, when you were being sworn in, people were booking dollars. Business people wanted to do export-import trade. They needed to pay for goods from overseas. They had to book dollars for dollars, and you could not get, if you ask for 10,000, they tell you we'll only get you 3,000 today. Next week we'll get you another 2,000. We have moved over the last 3 years, Your Excellency, under your leadership, from a low 5.7 billion US dollars, which is import cover for 2.5 months, to a historic high. I know the booklet says that we are at 12.3, but we have increased. The data from Central Bank on Thursday, we have hit a historic high, 14.6 billion US dollars, equivalent to 1.9 trillion Kenya shillings in foreign exchange reserve. Import cover of 6.2 towards 7 months of import cover. Kimani Ishungwa is an accountant. He's telling me it's not 6.2, it's 7 months import cover. Meaning even if the economy of Kenya was shut down for 7 months, we will still conduct our affairs without disrupting international trade, our export and import trade. This is historic. We've never been there before. Your Excellency, sir, on the economy, the other indicators are also looking good. I've talked about the strength of the currency. I've talked about low inflation. I've talked about the cash reserve ratio. I also want to talk about national savings. For 62 years, we had only saved 320 billion through NSSF. Okay? I know in the booklet, national savings comes as the last point, but I decided to bring it forward because it's part of the economic fundamentals that influence our macroeconomic stability. For 60 years, we only had savings through NSSF of 320 billion. In the last 3 years, in fact, 2 years, because we changed the law, again, courtesy of Parliament, we started implementing the law that Parliament passed 2 years ago. We have saved an additional 370 billion in 2 years. Today, savings stand at 690 billion Kenya shillings, projected to hit the 1 trillion shilling mark by the end of next year. Again, historic, because we have more than doubled our national savings in 2 years compared to what we had saved for 62 years. Your Excellency, all these macroeconomic indicators point to a better Kenya, a stronger economy. No wonder poor to Moody's, Kenya now has been upgraded to somewhere between B3, B minus, a stable economy by sovereign credit rating companies which are global and therefore are not politically inclined. And therefore, this macroeconomic heavy lifting has taken us a bit of time, but we're in good place now. Going forward, the remaining part is easier because now we now move into the realm of microeconomics, that is putting money into the pockets of individual citizens, creating jobs and income opportunities, and also employment, jobs, household incomes, and that is where the other programs that we have rolled out are going to take us, as we are going to see. So that is how the economy has has been stabilized over the last 3 years, and some of the interventions required parliamentary support of the two houses of parliament, and we applaud Parliament in its entirety for that support. Number two, Your Excellency, is agriculture. We have undertaken a number of agricultural transformation steps in the last 3 years as the broad-based administration. Number one, we started with the registration of farmers. Before then, we didn't have a database on farmers. And now we have a database of farmers. We know what they farm, the acreage of land, the kind of fertilizer they need, and where they are. And we are now having 7.3 million farmers whom we know what they need in terms of farm inputs. That was a major milestone of the achievement of this administration quite early within the first year. Number two, we've worked on the farm inputs to bring down prices of farm inputs, mainly fertilizer, from a high of 7,000 shillings per 50 kilogram bag of fertilizer to now the current 2,500 shillings per bag. We've also subsidized certified seeds to make them more affordable, and the result of these interventions have been to improve productivity in agriculture. Maize, for example, the staple crop, we have seen an increase in our maize production from 44 million bags in 2022 to 75 million bags last year, 2025. We have also seen the increase in terms of income and returns on coffee from an average of 60 to 70 shillings a kilo. Today, a kilo of cherry, the farmers are getting somewhere between 120 and 160 shillings, more than double of what the prices were in 2022. Earnings from tea over the last years have improved from 154 billion in 2022 to last year 215 billion Kenya shillings, the highest returns from tea in the history of our country. We've also increased our production of sugar, because for a long time Kenya has been importing sugar. Your Excellency, you recall more than 20 years ago when you were Minister for Agriculture, you still used to lead Kenya's delegation to Zambia to negotiate for COMESA safeguard measures so that we can get sugar imported into Kenya. In the last 3 years, Your Excellency, through your leadership, we've been able to reduce the imports of sugar by over 70%. The production has risen from 472,000 metric tons in 2022 to 815,000 metric tons in 2025. Through your leadership and with the help of both houses of parliament, we have been able to bring in a new law in the sector to eliminate cartels and to provide for partnering with private sector to lease government-owned sugar factories, Mumias, Nzoia, Chemelil, Soni. And today, we are now not just having an additional 200,000 acres under sugarcane production, but we are also having timely payment for farmers, of course at better prices, from 3,500 shillings per ton to the current 4,500 shillings per ton. Your Excellency, because of these reforms, the cartels in the sugar industry have been dealt with, and in the next 2-3 years, Kenya will not require to import a single grain of sugar from anywhere. In fact, Kenya will start exporting sugar to the other countries in the region. Your Excellency, for the first time, farmers are being paid every 7 days for their delivery of cane, and workers are being paid at the end of the month. And for the first time since sugarcane growing was introduced in Kenya, farmers of sugarcane farmers are earning bonus, as you yourself has presided over the issuance of bonus in Mumias, and I'm sure for the other sugar factories, the bonuses should be coming at the end of the year. So that is what we've done for sugarcane. And in terms of milk production, Your Excellency, we've been able to increase production from 4.6 billion liters in 2022 to 5.3 billion liters last year. Our exports of dairy products have also increased by 92% to last year's 9.4 billion shillings worth of exports of dairy products. Your Excellency, we have also in the livestock sector been able to start installing milk coolers to provide longevity for milk and avoid wasting milk, which has been going bad. But also we have vaccinated 7.9 animals. We have also been able to increase our meat exports, which were 12.9 billion shillings last year. And we are also almost completing the Kenya Leather Industrial Park in Kenanie, which will bring value addition into the livestock sector and make more income and returns for pastoralists and livestock keepers. Your Excellency, sir, I can also highlight a few things we've done in the blue economy because of the counties in the coast and counties around Lake Victoria that depend on blue economy. We are building fish landing sites from Waepe near Lungalunga all the way to Mokowe in Lamu, Kipini, Kichwa Chakati in between, and we are also giving grants to beach management units. We've already disbursed 3.2 billion shillings to beach management units to support fishermen. We are buying boats, the small boat, the high sea or deep sea fishing boats, and we are collaborating with county government to fasten that procurement so that we can have boats that can go into the deep sea and bring better fish and more valuable fish. We are also, we've completed the Shimoni fish port, 2.6 billion shillings. We've completed a big mariculture center in Shimoni at 1.4 billion. We are building Kabonyo Aquaculture Center of Excellence around Lake Victoria, 1.3 billion. We have landing sites around Lake Victoria from Migori all the way to Mukoba in Busia and all the other places in between. We have finished the Paya in Homa Bay, the fish markets in Homa Bay, the fish market in Kidongo in Mombasa. We have also done the lab, fish quality lab in Mombasa. It's almost complete, and the one in Kisumu is also 55% complete. We are also providing pond liners and cages for fish cage farming, and also providing predator nets to encourage inland fish farming. So, Your Excellency, I know that booklet has omitted that blue economy thing, so we'll improve and maybe, because that's an area also we've done very well. Number 3, Your Excellency, universal health. Universal health, Your Excellency, when you came to office, the first thing that this government did was to promote primary health care by employing community health promoters, 107,831 of them, who continue to be our foot soldiers to encourage people to live well, to try and detect complicated diseases before they become chronic, like diabetes, sugar-related diseases, pressure-related diseases, in partnership with county governments. I must also thank Your Excellency, the same way I thank the members of the National Assembly and senators. I must thank the governors of the Republic of Kenya, because they have supported every program where we have partnered between the county governments and the national government. There has been zero resistance. There has been zero politics because we are used to the past politics of fighting devolution, and any input from the national government to the county governments has been embraced by the county governors and the county governments wholesomely. I commend the county governors of Kenya for their patriotism. Your Excellency, under universal health care, as of this morning, we have registered 29.8 million Kenyans into Taifa Care, which is historic because we are coming from 7 million shillings, 7 million Kenyans under NHIF. You can imagine from 7 million to 29.8. I think in the next 2 weeks we will reach the 30 million mark. I can see the governor of Mombasa. Mombasa continues to lead. As of this morning, 932,000 residents of Mombasa out of 1,190,000, 78% are enrolled under Taifa Care. I see the other governors are trying to incite me to also mention, I will not name them, but the top 5 counties for purposes of record is Mombasa, followed by Bomet, followed by Elgeyo Marakwet, followed by Kirinyaga, and Tharaka Nithi closes the top 5. Your Excellency, it's only that we are in a formal meeting. I would have asked that question. Your Excellency, sir, what we need to fine-tune to improve our universal health care going forward are 3 things. 1, we need to improve on the health commodity supply chain. There are still a few gaps in the health commodity supply chain system. Number 2, we need to improve on the actuarials of the universal health coverage to make sure the premiums that are paid are able to provide quality packages for all kinds of treatments across the board. And thirdly, we need to fine-tune the issue of fraud. We must fight fraud. The biggest threat to any public medical insurance around the world, in all countries, the biggest threat is fraudulent claims. We must overcome that challenge, detect fraud, deal with it when it happens, and make sure that we secure UHC into the future. Your Excellency, in terms of equipment, we are under the National Equipment Support Program, which all counties again have signed to. We are placing specialized equipment to replace the now decommissioned MES program with the National Equipment Support Program. So we've made a lot of strides in the health sector. In terms of education, number 4, Your Excellency, education. When you were sworn in office, there was a lot of hue and cry. Everywhere we went, citizens used to tell you and to tell the rest of us, if you get into office, abolish CBC. Today that noise has died completely. Why? Because immediately you were sworn in office, you established the Presidential Working Party on education reforms. High-level experts, stakeholders, students, lecturers, and all the people in that space contributed to the streamlining, the reforms that we have implemented that streamline the CBC program. Transition has been going on. We just transited into grade 10. I'm told we are now 99-point-something% transition into grade 10 in the 3 pathways. There is still work to do, but at least we provided clarity on the CBC program. We have employed 100,000 teachers. Our commitment in the manifesto was 116,000 teachers. We will close the gap this year, and we will celebrate that milestone as well, because we discovered during our campaigns that there was a poor student-teacher ratio. By that time, it was 1 teacher for 45 pupils or students. Today, we have reduced that ratio from 1 to 45 to 1 to 29, one of the best in the world. even the developed countries, it is somewhere between 1 to 25 and 1 to 30. So we are doing well. The textbook ratio in our country is among the best in the world, 1 to 1. The textbook student ratio of Kenya is among the best in the world, 1 textbook for 1 pupil or student. Your Excellency, we have built 23,000 classrooms. 7,000 of those classrooms have been built by members of parliament from the National Assembly through CDF, and 15,000 classrooms have been built through the national government. Your Excellency, we have also been able to employ 3,300 tutors for our TVETs, and we have also achieved a number of things. Number one, we have increased the budget in education from where it was in 2022, when you took over. The education budget was 500 billion. Last year, it was 702 billion. This year, it will be 738 billion. Going forward, we also have increased capitation for universities. Funding for our universities has moved from 45 billion in 2022 to 82 billion last year. Funding for the Higher Education Loans Board to provide loans has increased from 17 billion in 2022 to 41 billion last year. In terms of tertiary education, Your Excellency, what have we done? Number one, we have increased enrollment, because when you came to office, there were more students in universities than in tertiary institutions, which is it's not the way it should be. There should be more students at the lower levels, including tertiary institutions, and less in the university. We are trying to correct that anomaly. We have brought the modularization policy, where you come, if you are a Juakali person, you do one module, you continue doing your business. When you get some time, you come back and do another module, and over time, you accumulate. You don't have to stay in the TVET for 3 years. If you are already engaged in other things, you can pursue your TVET education in a modular form. We have introduced the dual training policy, and we have introduced the recognition of prior learning, which helps to certify those who are prior learning, but they don't have certification in technical related subjects. That's what we have done on education. That's number 4. I'm not doing so well. Number 5, Your Excellency, is infrastructure. And infrastructure, I will speak about 4 things. One is the roads program that I had stalled. In 2022, many roads are stalled because of lack of money. Those roads stalled in 2019, 2020, 2021, there was no money. When you were sworn in office, President William Ruto, we had pending bills in the road sector of about 190 billion. Those bills were verified and they came to 177 billion. They have all been paid. The 177 billion of pending bills has been cleared by the broad-based administration. And thanks to Parliament, because they helped us pass some of the regulations that has helped us have innovative financing models and securitizing part of the fuel levy to be able to clear those bills. In the last 3 years, we have completed 2,143 kilometers of road. With the clearance of pending bills, 6,000 kilometers of new roads or restored roads roads which are stalled, 6,000 kilometers are now being built across the country. And Your Excellency, as I travel around this country, I really get impressed. Some of the areas where citizens had given up hope on tarmac roads, I have seen those roads with my own eyes. Niseme nisiseme. From Mandera to Ramu, to Kitoka Lamu, Gare, from Gare, Elwak, Kobo, Kotulo, Tarbaj, Wajia, Samata, Modogashe, Garbatura, Kulamawe, Isiolo. 750 kilometers of a road under this administration for the first time in northern Kenya. 750 kilometers, the largest, the longest single road project ever to be initiated in the Republic of Kenya. Karibu niulize Rais Ruto ni fire si fire. But since this is a formal meeting, sitauliza. There is another road which had been approved to be graveled, but President Ruto changed the instructions and said it should be tarmacked. From Lamu Port to Ijara to Garissa, all the way to Isiolo, 421 kilometers. It's being tarmacked as we speak. Over 50% of that road is now being done, has been done. I have seen roads which have been forgotten, like Taveta, Chala, Njukini, Olerai, Rombo, Ilasit. It's now okay. It's almost work in progress. I've seen the dwelling of Changamwe, Mariakani. I've seen the dwelling of Mtwapa to Kilifi, going into Malindi, is ongoing. And the flagship one, Rironi, Mau Summit, which is being worked on as we speak. So there's a lot of progress. That is the roads. Electricity, we have increased the connectivity of electricity from 8.8 million households in 2022 to 10.3 million households in 2025. And we are on course towards universal electrification by 2030, as was envisaged in Vision 2030. Our connectivity in electricity now is 66% nationally, one of the highest in Africa. Some of the African countries are still at 11%, 18%. Your Excellency, in terms of affordable housing, markets, and hostels, this is part of public infrastructure. And we've done well in that front. 230 active sites in 44 counties. Contracts now approaching, with the new contracts that are being signed now, we are approaching 800 billion of contracts under affordable housing, markets, and hostels. Already, 254,000 units under construction. Some of them have been handed over. 450 markets across Kenya. And 177,000 bed capacity for hostels. And then we are also providing institutional housing for our security forces, from Kenya Defense Forces to National Youth Service, to Kenya Police Service, Kenya Prison Service, 28,000 for Kenya Prison Service, units ongoing, 7,500 for the police, 15,000 for KDF, and the list is long. That is what we've been able to achieve under affordable housing, markets, hostels, and institutional building space. So in infrastructure, I will also put in ICT achievements. What have we done in the last 3 years? 30,000 kilometers of fiber optic connectivity, 316 ICT hubs complete and are being used. Another 400 under construction, ICT hubs. We have business process outsourcing centers which are operational. One is in Tatu City and a few others. We also have, in that space of ICT, we have distributed 20,000 devices, computers, in many of our ICT hubs. That is what we've done in infrastructure. Number 6, jobs. Very quickly, this affordable housing, hostels, and markets program has created 500,000 jobs. The target is to reach 1 million jobs by the end of the year. The ICT hubs and the Kazi Mtandaoni program, 300,000 jobs. Other than the 500,000 jobs in the housing and hostel space, we have Climate Works, which has created opportunities for 142,000 young people, starting with the Nairobi River project, but also in other projects. Your Excellency, we have Kazi Kwa Ground, and the Kazi Kwa Ground is the 100,000 teachers you have employed. It is the 500,000 teachers and affordable housing and hostels. It is the 142,000 climate works. It is in 10,000 security officers recruited in the last 3 years, the police, the military, and it is also in the many other recruitments we are doing in the public sector and the many opportunities created in the private sector because the economy is recovering. Kazi Kwa Ground. Under the Kazi Mtandaoni, I have said 300,000 people, young people are working. Under Kazi Maju, 538,000 young people working abroad under Kazi Maju. And they have not gone there by chance or by trial and error. It's because of deliberate government interventions. Which ones? Eradicating recruitment cartels and fake agencies, signing bilateral labor agreements to protect our workers abroad, providing a green channel for passports of young people who have a contract so that in 2 days they get a passport, providing a grant to assist them buy a ticket and acquire a passport through the Youth Enterprise Fund. These interventions is what has promoted the Kazi Maju program. We have now 538,000 young people. We want to target 1 million young people by the end of the year under Kazi Maju. Enterprise support for young people. The Nyota program, Your Excellency, which you have been presiding over, the first component of Nyota, which is business support, has reached 123,000 young people. All the components of Nyota will reach 820,000 young people. And you have directed us to look for ways of expanding that number into 1 million, even 2 million. And we are working on it, both under the Nyota program and also the KJET program, which is a 20 billion program which will equip small enterprises with the equipment they require to increase their productivity. And we are working on that, Your Excellency, to ensure that between KJET and Nyota, we have somewhere between 1.5 and 2 million young people reached under business support, equipment support, and on-the-job experience, and AGPO opportunities, and RPL, which are the components that we are working on. That's what you've done in the job space. Very quickly, sports. Since 1987, we've never built a stadium. The 2 stadia which were there, the main one, Kasarani and Nyayo, were dilapidated. President Ruto and his broad-based administration has been able to renovate Kasarani to FIFA standards and also Nyayo. But we have also built the most iconic sports stadium in this part of the world, the Talanta Sports City, which is going to be like our main flagship sports city for our country, and as we look forward to hosting AFCON next year. Your Excellency, you're building another 24 stadiums in other parts of the country, from Nanyuki to Voi to Wajir to Homa Bay is complete, Kitui is complete, Kinoru in Meru is complete, and many others. Your Excellency, allow me to talk about security reforms as I wind up. We've been able to introduce the police equipment modernization program, which has helped us to crush terrorism and banditry. We've now suppressed the terror that was being visited on many people because of terrorists, extremist groups, and bandits to a big extent because of the police equipment modernization program, a 20 billion 5-year program that has already, I think, spent over 13 billion shillings under your leadership. You are implementing, or we are implementing, the police reforms in terms of welfare. Just last week, an announcement was made for increment of their salaries. The lowest prison warder and police officer will get an increase of 48% of their basic salary. This has not been done in a long time. We are building houses for them. We are providing medical and life cover for them if they get hurt in the line of duty. Your Excellency, for the KDF, the modernization program is also running smoothly, and we want to thank you for those reforms. In terms of our road traffic safety, just this week we went live on instant fines. That should be able to reduce the road accidents and make drivers accountable. And we are going to see a drastic reduction of road accidents because of the cameras and the instant fines that we have introduced. So that's what we've done. Allow me to end, Your Excellency. I know I've exceeded my time. I don't know why the leaders have not rung the bell. Let me finish by projecting the future. As you have led us, Your Excellency, you have told us Kenya is punching below its weight. For far too long, we are struggling, yet our potential is big. Through your leadership, Your Excellency, we've been able to crack the difficult issue of how we finance our modernization and transformation. And you have told us it is possible for us in one generation, as has been done in Singapore, Malaysia, South Korea. We are able to transform Kenya from the third world economy status to the first world. Other countries have done it, we can do it. China, for example, pulled 800 million people from poverty in 40 years, between 1971 and 2021. We can do it in one generation. And you have led us, and on this one, once again, I thank our parliamentarians. Just yesterday, we saw the signing into law of the National Infrastructure Fund Act, a bold measure that will define our future and will set Kenya free, economically speaking. We put in resources there, government resources, private sector resources, so that when we sell part of the assets we have, the money does not go to salaries and recurrent expenditure, as has happened before. We sold Safaricom in 2008. We don't know what we use that money for. We've sold Kenya Airways shares before. We don't know what we did with that money. We've sold Kenya Re before. We don't know what we did with that money. The money now we are offloading from some of our assets goes into this fund to define our future. More roads, 28,000 kilometers of new roads, 2,500 kilometers of dual carriageway across Kenya. We extend our railway from Naivasha to Narok to Nyamira, Kisumu, all the way to Malaba. We dual our roads, as I have said, another 28,000 kilometers of road. We build dams and harvest water and get away from the shame of hunger. 50 mega dams, 200 mid-sized dams, and 1,000 smaller dams. We also increase our energy productivity by 10,000 megawatts, because currently we only produce 3,300 megawatts. We need 10,000 megawatts so that we can power our industries into the future. Time has not allowed me to talk about KIPES and special economic zones, which we are constructing. Your Excellency, I thank you. I stop there, and I apologize for exceeding the 20 minutes. Thank you very much.
A warm clap for His Excellency the Deputy President. With all that said, off head. Congratulations, Your Excellency. Your Excellency, with your permission, allow me to now call on Agnes Zani, the Chairperson Committee, to oversee the implementation of the 10-point agenda and the NADCO report. Let's give her a warm welcome as she gets on stage.
Thank you very much. Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, and the Principal of UDA, Honorable Oburu Oginga, the Principal of ODM, Deputy President, Your Excellency, present, Cabinet Secretaries present, Excellency Governors present, Members of Parliament, Joint Committee. We stand at a very important time in the transformation of Kenya. We've just had a very detailed report that has been given by the Deputy President. We are coming in as the committee that was tasked to look at specific aspects of that development, just an aspect of it, which is the 10-point agenda. Because of time, I will not go into what the 10-point agenda is, because very shortly we'll go into its implementation. I just want to state here that when we talk about the implementation of the 10-point agenda, it is ongoing, has been ongoing for a very long time, and will keep ongoing because it sets the path for a developmentalist agenda, for a transformative agenda that changes this country forever. We are the players for that particular process at this time. We need to be able to ensure that we can change our economic, our social, our political development, and make changes that are very, very critical. We are one of the countries with the largest percentage of the youth badge who need the space to be able to develop. Therefore, this 10-point agenda should not just be seen as a 10-point agenda. Indeed, it sets a policy framework for how we can progress this country by looking at the various aspects. We're looking at aspects of job creation, for example, and youth employment, financial extension, infrastructural development. And it's very, very important, as the Deputy President has said, that we've been able to put into place the National Infrastructural Fund, which will help us put our funds together, maintain and pool our sovereign wealth funds, use public-private partnerships to make these changes. Why am I mentioning this? Because this is a significant change. Once we have infrastructural change across the board, all these other deliverables will fit into place. Other countries have done it. Why can't we? Nigeria is has this sort of fund, started in 2011, Ghana 2014, we have India 2015, and Canada also has this particular fund. So it is possible for us to make this progress. What have we come in to do as the committee to oversee the implementation measures? And the late Raila Amolo Odinga gave 10 specific points. These 10-point agendas were not in vain. These point agendas, entrenched also in the NADCO report, meant that in the recommendations, they stated that a committee should come and oversee, overlook, give information about the progress of where we are in this agenda. Therefore, this committee, by virtue of that role, became an overseeing committee of whom? Of duty bearers. And who are these duty bearers? The Executive Office of the President, we have the various ministries, we have the various commissions, we have the various organs, we have the judiciary, we have independent commissions who have been doing this implementation. And this has to be very clear, because we cannot then say, between August and now, what has happened to the implementation of the 10-point agenda? It is ongoing, ever has been ongoing, and even from what His Excellency, the Deputy President, has indicated, various issues have been going. But we were given this impetus from a political point of view. So when people have asked, for example, but in this committee, are you replicating the roles, for example, of the Auditor General? The answer is no. We're just getting this data for specific issues which were of interest to the two political parties, ODM and UDA, in the MOU, the NADCO report, and 10-point agenda. And this is what we've come to do this morning, give the implementation status in terms of each of those 10-point agenda, so that we can see and we can demonstrate that progress has gone on. So this committee, of course, was established on the 6th of August via statement from His Excellency the President and also from the late Raila Amolo Odinga. Now, as the ODM principal, we have Dr. Oburu. So there is perpetuity and continuity in this very, very critical process. Through this, we've been able to engage with various stakeholders. We've had consultations with various stakeholders. We went through public forums throughout the various parts of the country to bring in this information, and we're about to deliver exactly that. Kindly allow me to acknowledge, with a lot of humility, the members of this committee. Could you please be upstanding so that you can be recognized? Members of the COINTEN, we call ourselves COINTEN, it's just an acronym of the committee overseeing the implementation of the NADCO report and the 10-point agenda. We have as just joint secretaries, Mr. Bore and Mr. Ongwen. Mr. Bore, Executive Director of UDA, Mr. Ongwen, Executive Director of ODM. On the far end, we have Mr. Javas Bigambo, who is the Vice Chair of this committee. We have Mr. Oguda, member. We have Honorable Fatuma Ibrahim, a member, and Mr. Kevin Kiari. Together, allow us now to present this report with a lot of humility. We have taken this as a national duty that is very, very key and very, very important in the trajectory of taking us into being completely developed country, following on various stages that we have passed through and what we need to be able to get to. So we then say, as a committee, this is a task that keeps going on. A task that is very, very critical for us. I'd like now to invite Your Excellency, we are very appreciative of this task that you've given us. Dr. Oburu, we are very appreciative of this task. We endeavor to deliver. We endeavor to ensure that this 10-point agenda works to transform Kenya once and for all. Thank you very much.
Your Excellency, President William Ruto, President of the Republic of Kenya and Party Leader of UDA, Your Excellency, the Deputy President, Honorable Senator Dr. Oburu Oginga, the Party Leader of ODM, distinguished Honorable Members of Parliament, and Kenyans. We, as the committee overseeing the implementation of the 10-point agenda, are glad to come before you to make this presentation. Various key issues that are marked as achievements have been enumerated by His Excellency the Deputy President, and I will not go much into that. And given that all of us here have got copies of this 10-point agenda, I'll only make brief highlights under each section. The building of a nation is a project that never comes to an end, and that is why His Excellency President William Ruto has committed to put in place critical measures to ensure that Kenya moves forward, and as he has spoken numerous times, to move Kenya into a first world country within our lifetime. Kenya has experienced various political crises and challenges, and these challenges have led many times political leaders to come together to bridge the divide so that we get to have amicable solutions. And that's why the NADCO team was formed. It presented a report which was adopted by Parliament in February 2024, and later on to its implementation, and also following the challenges that bedeviled this country, we had UDA and ODM come together with a view to resolve some of the socio-political and economic challenges that this country has faced. The coming together between ODM and UDA was predicated on the signing of an MOU with a 10-point agenda, and these particular 10 points include the full implementation of the NADCO report, inclusivity in all spheres of public life, protecting and strengthening devolution, promoting and protecting the livelihood of the youth, leadership and integrity, the right to peaceful assembly, and Article 37 of the Constitution, and compensation of victims of protests and riots. Fight against corruption, stopping wastage of public resources, protecting and promoting sovereignty of the people and the rule of law and constitutionalism. Those are the 10-point agenda issues. As the chair has indicated, the committee over the last 6 or 7 months has engaged with various implementing agencies, among them the Executive Office of the President, the Legislature, the Judiciary, county governments as implementing agencies, constitutional commissions, and independent offices. Ladies and gentlemen, there are a number of achievements that the committee has recorded, significant achievements on the implementation of the 10-point agenda. I will take just a few minutes to speak to them. The Parliament received 9 bills from NADCO, and various of these bills have been considered and at various stages of implementation and consideration by Parliament. So far, 3 bills have been enacted into law, including the IBC Amendment Bill 2023 and the Statutory Instruments Amendment Bill 2023 and the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission Bill 2023. Those have fully been implemented and no further action is needed. We have got 2 other bills that are under mediation, including the Elections Amendment Bill 2023 and the Election Offences Bill 2023. IBC has been fully constituted and it's carrying on with its mandate. We have seen conducting of by-elections, and IBC also has commenced the process that will lead into the delimitation of boundaries, and it has laid out a clear time frame under which that will be done. The PBO Act that enables civil societies to solicit for funds and implement various social projects has been operationalized by President William Ruto's administration. Presently, there is also the process of legislation to harmonize bicameral relations to ensure that the National Assembly and the Senate get to work harmoniously for the greater good of the country. Under the entrenchment of funds into the Constitution, ladies and gentlemen, the Constitution Amendment Bill on the entrenchment of the NGCDF, the GAF, the Senate Oversight Fund, and County Ward Fund is under consideration by Parliament presently. The Court of Appeal has pronounced itself and determined that NGCDF does not violate the Constitution. Agenda 2 and its implementation, inclusivity in all spheres of public life. Key achievements, and I'll just make brief highlights because many of them have been stated has been railroaded by the same policy. The launch of the National Policy on Ethnic Minorities and Marginalized Communities was done in 2025, December, by His Excellency the President. 500 million shillings scholarship program has been railroaded by the same policy, which has lowered the cost of fertilizer from 7,000 shillings to 2,000 under the Executive Office of the President. On economic inclusion, ladies and gentlemen, measures to reduce the cost of living, we have seen the fertilizer subsidy program, which has lowered the cost of fertilizer from 7,000 shillings to 2,500 shillings per bag, which has enabled many farmers to access this. There's 14% reduction in fuel prices and exchange rate gains, which has lowered production, and many Kenyans are now able to travel to work, production by various industries. The costs have gone down, a key success by the broad-based government. Ladies and gentlemen, there is presently the timely payment of social protection stipends by the government alongside salaries. This is done in a very timely way compared to how it used to be in the past, where there were serious delays. And then it has also been streamlined such that it has weeded out fraud. And in the past, many people who are able used also to fraudulently access the social protection funds. This has been weeded out. The Equalization Fund allocation to support development and service delivery in the marginalized areas has been increased from 5 billion shillings to 9.6 billion shillings, a key achievement under the broad-based government. Inclusion in the health sector. The rollout of UHC by transitioning Social Health Insurance Authority has increased healthcare insurance from 7 million, as the Deputy President has indicated, to 29.8 million beneficiaries to date. And this is a key achievement that is on record under the broad-based government. We have got the CHPs, 107,000 of them, 831 have been employed, and people now across all the villages and hamlets in Kenya access primary health care. Share premiums for 1.5 indigents are being paid by the government. When it comes to education as an inclusion aspect, 100,000 teachers have been recruited since 2022. And as the Deputy President indicated, this has largely increased the teacher-student ratio. 23,000 classrooms and 1,000 laboratories are under construction, a major achievement that is ongoing. The committee has also noted that university allocation has increased from 45 billion to 82 billion shillings. The HELP scholarship funding has increased also to 41 billion shillings. These are self-evident achievements under the broad-based government in the period under consideration. Rural and infrastructure inclusion, 260,000 affordable housing units are under construction, creating thousands and thousands of jobs for young people, the youth, and various professionals, architects, lawyers, engineers. And this is a celebrated score of achievement under the broad-based government. 450 markets are being constructed nationwide across all the 47 counties, and 6,000 kilometers of roads under construction. Protection and strengthening devolution. Key implementation here and achievements, Your Excellency, we have had the equitable share revenue to counties increased from 385 billion shillings to 415 billion in the financial year 2025-2026, and in this financial year it's projected that this is going to increase to 450 billion shillings. Access of funds to county governments and this increase in shareable revenue is a major gain for devolution, and the broad-based government is evidently keen to protect and advance devolution in Kenya. Counties now receive timely monthly disbursements with no pending carryovers as of June 30th, 2025. Your Excellency, under Agenda 4, promoting and protecting livelihoods for young people, we have got many key achievements. So far, for instance, Your Excellency, the committee has recorded that over 90,000 young people from all 1,450 wards are undergoing training in the country. Over 121,000 youth, together with 110,000 youth from Kakuma and Dadaab, these are refugee camps, have received business training, mentorship, and startup grants of 25,000 shillings, being an initial of the wholesome 50,000 shillings that they will ultimately receive. Your Excellency, the Nyota program is a major success, which has created opportunities for over 820,000 young entrepreneurs aged between 18 and 29 years. Your Excellency, across all 1,450 wards, there is the 50-50 gender parity, and the Nyota program has really impacted lives of thousands of young people in the country. Additional employment initiatives have created and increased opportunities for young people in the country. 640,000 jobs have been created through affordable housing program, with 7,000 professionals who have been onboarded. Your Excellency, the construction of stadia has also increased the creation of jobs for youth and professionals across the country. 20,000 jobs have been created through the Climate Works program. Under leadership and integrity, Your Excellency, as agenda number 5, the broad-based government has ensured the enactment of the Conflict of Interest Act, which you assented into law on the 30th of June or July 2025, which has now been operationalized. This act strengthens the government's commitment in combating graft and regulating and reducing conflict of interest within the public sector. Agenda number 6, Your Excellency, the right to peaceful assembly as enshrined in Article 37 of the Constitution and compensation of victims of protests and riots. The government has set aside 2 billion shillings for compensation of victims of protests in the first supplementary budget of the financial year 2025-2026. This will go for the compensation of victims of protests and human rights violations. Your Excellency, 4 days ago, a panel of experts for compensation of victims was gazetted by the head of public service under a framework that will be developed by the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, and already these railroads the compensation of victims, which has been a key issue raised by even citizens whenever we've been moving around the counties in the public participation process. From 2023 to 2025, IPOA has handled 820 cases of alleged police misconduct during public order management, securing convictions for 35 cases involving 49 officers, and recommending disciplinary action against 30 officers. This has been done by IPOA. The demonstration bill, which sought to restrict the right to assembly of protesters, was withdrawn. This was initially intended to curtail the rights. The Ministry of Interior and National Administration has issued policy directives limiting excessive use of force and strengthening training and retooling of police officers for lawful crowd management. Agenda number 7, Your Excellency, national debt. The broad-based government, ladies and gentlemen, has commissioned a comprehensive forensic audit of the public debt by the Office of the Auditor General to strengthen transparency, verify utilization of borrowed funds, and this been an issue within the public, the issue of auditing our public debt. The broad-based government as well has reduced reliance on external borrowing by exploring innovative financing mechanisms. And just yesterday, Your Excellency, you signed into law the National Infrastructure Fund Act. Through liability management, the broad-based government has reorganized national debt portfolio to reduce financing risks and minimize the risk of default. There is greater emphasis placed on mobilizing domestic revenue, and this is ongoing under the broad-based government. Ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellency, I'll move to the agenda number 8 on the fight against corruption. As I've indicated, the Conflict of Interest Act is now operational, and this is a great effort toward combating graft, which is politically carcinogenic in the country. There is the adoption of the e-government procurement system, which has digitized the entire procurement framework, and from planning, this enhances transparency, accountability, and ensures digital footprints in the procurement process, Your Excellency. Over 23,000 government services have been digitized on each citizen. This has eliminated cash payments across government and middlemen, reducing corruption risks and increasing revenue collection by the government up to date. Your Excellency, the Money Laundering and Combating of Terrorism Financing Laws Amendment Act was assented into law on 17th of June 2025, a great effort as well in strengthening the legal framework, combating illicit flow of funds in Kenya, and has supported the exit of Kenya from the grey list of the Financial Action Task Force. Your Excellency, the implementation of the zero-based budgeting has enhanced fiscal discipline and accountability by requiring justification of all public expenditures. The single treasury account system has consolidated government cash collection and management, improved transparency and transaction costs, and minimized idle funds in commercial banks. Your Excellency, as I move towards the end, agenda number 9, stopping of wastage of public resources, and promoting of government efficiency. Austerity measures have been put in place, including the removal of budgets, initially in the office of the First Lady, the spouse of the Deputy President, and the spouse of the Prime Cabinet Secretary. A 12-month freeze has been put in place for purchase of government vehicles except security sector vehicles. There is the zero-based budgeting in the financial year 2025-2026, requiring all public expenditure to be justified, as I've indicated. And then presently, the passports processing, the national ID cards processing, all of them have been reduced from 1 month to 1 week, improving access to these services by the citizens of Kenya and reducing corruption. Agenda number 10, Your Excellency, protecting and promoting sovereignty of the people, the rule of law, and constitutionalism. The broad-based government, under your leadership, Your Excellency, has facilitated the judiciary to ensure there is the recruitment of judicial officers. We recently saw the recruitment of 11 Court of Appeal judges, High Court judges. The recruitment process has been ongoing, as well as the magistrates, to improve case handling, reduce backlog of cases, and access to justice by Kenyans. Judicial mobility has been strengthened through the support of the executive to procure vehicles for judicial officers. There is the support to ensure the national e-filing system, which has been implemented, enabling paperless court processes, remote case filing, and virtual hearings. And as we are in the second quarter of the 21st century, utility and dependence on technology is unavoidable. The judiciary as well has achieved near compliance with the 2/3 gender rule, with the 332 women judges and magistrates representing 47% of the bench. To ensure the adherence to the rule of law, the government has adherence to court orders and all decisions of the courts under the broad-based government and under the leadership of His Excellency President William Ruto. Ladies and gentlemen, the committee has made a few key recommendations, which I will speak to briefly. There is need to ensure that the bills that are still pending at various stages in Parliament are fast-tracked. The committee recommends the formation of a broad-based mediation committee between the Senate and the National Assembly to fast-track consideration of those outstanding bills. This committee also urges Parliament to expedite and conclude outstanding NADCO bills within 90 days. To enhance realization of the constitutional rights under Article 37, the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights should spearhead legislation to safeguard protesters while protecting livelihoods and property. To fast-track the Natural Resources Amendment Bill 2022, to provide legal framework for equitable distribution of revenues from natural resources among national government, county governments, and local communities. This bill should also be fast-tracked for implementation. County governments are here urged to implement the National Policy on Ethnic Minorities and Marginalized Communities 2025 to promote inclusivity in governance and public participation. The Attorney General should propose amendments to Section 108 and Section 109 of the County Governments Act 2012 to make county integrated development plans, the CIDPs, long-term plans to be 10-year plans, and sectoral plans to be mid-term plans of 5 years to ensure completion of legacy projects across electoral cycles. This recommendation is to try and make white elephants across county governments to be a thing of the past. To enhance efficiency and credibility in elections, the IEBC should be well-resourced and supported to develop infrastructure and capacity to hold transparent, credible, and verifiable elections as the Constitution provides. We recommend as a committee the establishment of a multi-agency team comprising the National Treasury, the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, the Law Society of Kenya, under the leadership of the Office of the Attorney General for the victims' compensation. While, of course, as I've indicated already, steps in that direction has been taken by the gazettement that was done 4 days ago by the head of public service. To promote access to justice, The Independent Policing and Oversight Authority should conclude investigations into complaints within 6 months and publish its findings. To ensure timely accountability, prosecution and determination of ethics and corruption cases by mandated institutions must be completed within 6 months. Lastly, Your Excellency, the Kenya National Police Service should be well-resourced and supported to strengthen continuous training and retooling of the police for effective crowd management in accordance with the rule of law. Your Excellency, we thank you so much for the time and the responsibility that you have given this committee, and we thank the broad-based government for the support that it has given and continues to give this committee to the completion of its duty. I thank you so much.
Thank you. A hearty clap for Javas Bigambo. Your Excellency, it is now my pleasure to invite back His Excellency, the Deputy President, to progress with the program. Karibu, Bwana DP.
Thank you very much, Coin 10. Your Excellency, in the interest of time, we will run the rest of the program very fast because today is a parliamentary day. And this being a PG, I'm sure the two houses will want to proceed early. Your Excellency, the party leader of UDA, Your Excellency, the party leader of ODM, I will request Professor Nyang' Nyong'o, my academic senior, to come and say two things here based on the presentation of the 10-point agenda, maybe on devolution and compensation of victims. 2 minutes for Professor Peter Anyang' Nyong'o. A round of applause.
Your Excellency, the President and the Vice President, thank you so much for convening this meeting, which is extremely important and informative. I will only say two things that are effectively dealt with in this report. That is devolution and compensation of victims. As you know, that some of us have been very concerned about the issue of victims, and I'm glad that today they've gone on record that the victims will be compensated. Secondly, devolution. You know, there was that famous story that a child always asks for more, and it's never enough. The Constitution of Kenya says that there are two levels of government, devolution and national, separate but interdependent. Kenya cannot really develop fully if devolved government is not fully funded for the development functions that it performs. I'm grateful that it is said that the equitable share of revenue to counties has increased to 385 billion shillings in financial year 2024-2025 to 415 billion shillings in financial year 2025-2026. This is good. And it is projected to rise to 450 billion shillings in 2026 and 2027. We are happy about that. But you know, as I said, we will never stop asking for more. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you very much. Your Excellency, the next item, before I call ODM party leader and then invite you, I want to announce after those keynote addresses, we shall have a short plenary of about 15 minutes so that a few of us also can say a few things. Starting with the chair COG, I see a good turn-up of governors here. We appreciate you, and then we'll have a few other members. I have the permission of the House leaders of the two houses of Parliament to run the plenary as a retired leader of majority. because of time. They have asked me to manage so that as many of us as possible can say something. Your Excellency, it's now my honor and privilege to invite our leader, the leader of ODM, the Honorable Senator Oburu Oginga, Daktari, youth leader. Na kwa sababu anatafuta power, na mimi ni fireman, leo ni fire power. Karibu leader, karibu. Let's appreciate our leader, Senator Oburu.
Your Excellency,